Thompsons huddled together in the living room, the flickering candlelight casting long, trembling shadows across the walls. Clara curled up on the couch, her small frame enveloped in a blanket, while her parents exchanged worried glances. The atmosphere was thick with tension, and the unsettling events of the past few days hung heavily in the air. "Maybe we should just get rid of the doll," Sarah suggested tentatively, her voice barely above a whisper. "It seems to be causing more trouble than it's worth." "No, I don't want to," Clara protested, her eyes wide with fear but also defiance. "It's just a doll. It can't hurt us," Michael sighed, rubbing his temples. "Clara, it's not just a doll anymore. Something's not right. We need to figure out what's going on." As the hours ticked by, the family tried to distract themselves with board games and stories, but the unsettling feeling lingered, gnawing at their peace. Just as they began to relax, a soft thud echoed from the hallway. Clara jumped, her heart racing. "Did you hear that?" she whispered, clutching the blanket tighter. "It's probably just the house settling," Michael replied, but even he didn't sound convinced. Suddenly, the lights flickered again, plunging the room into darkness for a heartbeat before flickering back to life. Clara let out a small yelp as the doll seemed to appear at the edge of the living room, its eyes glinting like tiny stars in the dim light. "Clara," Sarah said softly, "why don't you take it back upstairs, just for tonight? We'll figure this out in the morning." Reluctantly, Clara stood up, clutching the doll tightly against her chest. As she ascended the stairs, the house creaked and groaned around her, each sound echoing in the stillness. She placed the doll on her bedside table, staring at it as if it could spring to life at any moment. Sleep eluded her once again. The whispers returned, clearer this time. "Play with me, Clara," they beckoned, luring her into a web of confusion and fear. She squeezed her eyes shut, wishing the voice would vanish, but it persisted, a haunting melody that thrummed through her very being. The following morning, Clara's parents noticed her pale complexion and the dark circles under her eyes. "Are you okay, honey?" Sarah asked, concern etched on her face. "I'm fine," Clara lied, forcing a smile, but she couldn't shake the feeling that the doll was somehow connected to the strange occurrences around the house. As the day wore on, Clara's unease only grew. Everywhere she looked, shadows seemed to stretch and twist, whispering secrets just beyond her understanding. The family decided to visit the local library, hoping to uncover the history of the doll and its unsettling presence. The librarian, an elderly woman with deep-set eyes, listened intently as they recounted their experiences. "Ah, that doll," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's been in the town for decades. They say it belonged to a little girl named Abigail, who lived in this very house over a century ago. She was said to have an unusual bond with it." "What happened to her?" Michael asked, intrigued but apprehensive. "Abigail died under mysterious circumstances," the librarian continued, her gaze dropping to the floor. "Some say she was possessed by a dark spirit. After her death, the doll was passed down through several families, each suffering strange misfortunes. It's said that if the doll is disturbed, it awakens something sinister." Clara's heart raced. "So it's haunted," the librarian nodded solemnly. "Many believe it's a conduit for dark forces. If you have it, you must be careful. It feeds on fear and sadness." As they left the library, Clara's thoughts raced. The doll was more than just a plaything. It was a vessel for something far more malevolent. At night, she lay in bed, her mind swirling with the stories she had heard. The whispers intensified, begging her to play, to join them in a world beyond her own. "Clara," the doll whispered, its voice now clear and chilling, "come to me. We can be together forever." Clara's heart pounded in her chest as she sat up, glancing at the doll on the shelf. She could feel its gaze fixed upon her, the weight of its presence suffocating. With trembling hands, she reached for the lamp, casting a warm glow across the room. But the shadows seemed to grow darker, twisting into shapes that danced menacingly at the edges of her vision. "Please, just leave me alone," Clara cried, her voice breaking. In that moment, the whispers and the shadows fell silent, as if momentarily taken aback by her plea. Clara sat there, heart racing, the oppressive silence enveloping her. She glanced around the room, half expecting the doll to move or speak again, but it remained still, a lifeless object on her shelf. Determined to reclaim her sense of safety, Clara made a decision. She would confront the doll and the darkness that surrounded it.